If there would be a possibility, what would you say to your younger self? I've been wondering a lot of time, what I would do if I would go back in time and if I would change things. And of course, there is the usual answer, the typical that everyone says. I would change nothing because it brought me where I am today. I don't believe that much in this kind of answer. I know that we cannot change a specific thing in order to have our dream life, but I believe that this not changing anything in our past is just a little bit. If I may change something, it may be even worse, but you don't know that because changing something may also make your life better, actually. And we're not sure about the consequences of our changing something in our past. So I decided to do this video, 10 tips that I would give to my younger self if I would be able to travel back into time. So the first one, it's a little bit typical. Everyone says that. Surround yourself with better people than you and stick with them. What I mean by that? A lot of people may surround themselves for 1 month, 2 weeks with those people, but then they change habit. They change another time group of people because it's really difficult to be surrounded by people better than you for multiple reasons. First of all, it doesn't feel that nice to have just better people than you around you. And second reason, usually those people want also to surround themselves with better people than themselves. So in order to really stick with them, you must show them that you really want to improve and you want to develop and you can actually be helpful for them. For me, that was specifically difficult because I was in a small city. And so if I would go back in time, I would probably surround myself more and more with older people than me. Because, of course, they have a lot of experience. Sometimes this experience could be helpful for me, sometimes not. But if I would go back in time, I would definitely surround myself with older people than me in order to learn as much as possible about the upcoming future in front of me. Second tip, go to school properly. I've been going to school, I had good grades, but the biggest problem is that meanwhile I was in school, I was never focusing on the lesson. I was listening 5 minutes, learning the fundamentals, then chit chat a bit, play around, drawing some stuff, and fall asleep. That was not really good attitude for school. I was meanwhile doing school training, and that of course because the school was not really stimulating to me, because no one made it interesting to me and I had no reason in order to listen. If I would go back in time, I would definitely not do any homeworks, and that's not a tip for you, because I believe that 5 hours of study, if done properly at school in the morning, it's enough in order to learn whatever you need, let's say the base for your future. But if I would go back in time, I would actually think that you have to be in school anyways. So just learn something because you're there, And of course, if I would have a chance to drop out school in order to chase my dreams, I would definitely do it, 100%. But in case you don't have this chance, just listen because you're there anyways, you're using your time, so get something back. Third tip, limit your fun time. I truly believe that a young person must enjoy life at least a bit. The only problem is that as a younger me was always, so let's say the younger version of me was constantly having fun. Every situation was occasion to do jokes, to have fun. I was not taking stuff really, really seriously. And if I would go back in time, I would definitely change that. I would focus 80% on being a serious person and developing skill and learning stuff, and 20% on having fun and enjoying, because it sounds so true. No one gives you back your time, and you only live once. So you must enjoy the time meanwhile you're young. This is really, really important. But don't exaggerate. The fourth tip is go more out of my comfort zone. Let's clarify something. When I was young, I was actually exposing myself to some situation out of the normal person comfort zone. But the problem is that for me, showing off a bit was part of my comfort zone. If I would go back in time, I would probably apply for more jobs. I would go put myself in more difficult situation. I would eventually perform a little bit more in front of other people. I would actually chase the struggle and the difficulties in order to improve myself and find those benefits that I already feel today, because a little bit, as I already said, I was already putting myself out of my comfort zone. I would increment it even more to find myself today with a lot of more benefits that I am currently right now. Tip number 5, don't quit. This goes about every single thing I did in my life. I started to train, I quit. I started again, I started with the gym, I quit. And most of the times was because of women. I'm not saying women are bad, I'm just saying that they should not distract you from your focus and your cheap aim in life. If it's the right girl, she's gonna understand your purpose and why you're doing all the things that you're doing. If it's not the right one, it's not worth distracting yourself from all your goal or your achievement for then in the future blame all your circumstances, because it's just your fault. I would stick with social media, I would stick with training, I would stick with calisthenics, I would stick with a lot of things that I've been going up and down for my own life, in and out, starting and quitting. Most of that just because of wanting to have fun and wanting to be like others. Don't be like others, because average have a shitty life. So just be yourself. Tip number 6, read books. I know that's a little bit cliche, it's a little bit obvious, but I started to read books really late. And since I started to read books, my vision of the world completely changed. Of course, just reading it's not going to improve your life, but at the same time, if you read and apply the things that you read about this, especially non-fiction books, first of all, you're going to develop a better vocabulary. You can learn another language, as English, because as you probably noticed, this is not my mother tongue. I'm Italian, and I never read a book in English before I was 22 years old. And that's a big problem. So if I would go back in time, I would read more books, especially non-fiction book, in order to develop the right mindset. The mindset, it's the way we approach every single thing in our life. And with a shitty mindset, we're going to have a shitty life. It's really obvious and clear and easy to understand. Tip number 7, don't get into fight, don't get upset. In Italy, it's really common to get into fights. Everyone, young people, older people, they're always fighting around for every possible reason. It can be football, it can be woman, it can be work, it can be absolutely nothing. It can be just having a different idea. And that's stupid, in my personal opinion, right now. Because, first of all, you don't even have to get upset. In the moment that someone hurt your feelings, you take the decision. You have this half of a second to take a decision to get upset or not. You shouldn't, because you cannot change the other person. You should focus on yourself, and it's not worth at all to get upset for such a thing. So don't get into fight. It's not worth. It feels like you're ruining something, but you're really not. You're really just risking your life for absolutely nothing. Don't get upset. It's not worth your time. Next tip. Set yourself challenges. This is really important. I was doing it really in small amounts, small challenges, but not real serious challenges that can actually impact your life. Challenges are important because they set you a direction where you can move forward and improve your life. And also, if in the future you're gonna do something else, but especially if you're young, you're always gonna benefit from the things that you learn, because creativity and experience, it's a mix of all the things we lived. Okay, and also our genetic, our body, it's a consequence of how we live the first 20 years of our life. Can you change it afterwards? Of course. But being fit from 0 to 20, 10 to 20, let's say, it's gonna have a big impact on your future life. It's gonna make everything super easy because your body is gonna be used to it. Set yourself a lot of challenges, especially if you're a man, stimulates your testosterone and you have a direction, hopefully a positive direction, to move toward. Also, if you don't really know what to do in life, start now to do a challenge. I would say save more money. As a child, I was not really understanding the value of money, and I was always focusing on the fact that I didn't have much money, without understanding that I was buying a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, and a lot of bullshit, spending a lot of money, a lot, of course, relatively, on video games like League of Legends and all the stuff. Don't do it. A little bit you should save, not in order to buy a house, but because you never know, you may find an opportunity that in order to take this opportunity, you need some money and you don't have that. And that's a huge problem. Save some money, not all of them. At least 30% of what you earn. Your family gives you €1, save 30 cents. Feels like nothing, you're gonna get used to it, and you're gonna have some money to maybe start something productive and useful for your life. Also, if you wanna move out from your city, if you don't have any money, it's gonna be a struggle, because you cannot just rely on other people supporting you in the moment that you need them, because you never know what happens in life. The last tip, it's incredible. That's specific for me, but it can be helpful for a lot of you. Start a YouTube channel. I always tried, I did one video and stopped, but I never started seriously a YouTube channel. And it has 1,000 different benefits. I'm not talking about money, I'm talking more about the way you feel in front of a camera, the way you can articulate yourself, the way you can explain your ideas, and also the possibility that gives you about connecting with other people. If you're in a small city, it's really difficult to reach better people in order to surround yourself with better people, as I said in point number 1. In order to do that, social media is a really powerful tool that most of us are not even using. 16 years old now use social media in order to hit on women, to find a girlfriend, and that's completely fine, I guess. But if you use social media properly since a young age and you don't waste time scrolling, you're gonna find yourself surrounded by better people all the times because you're putting the effort. And extra point, you're gonna learn a lot of skills because in order to do social media, you need to be good designer, you need to do video editing, you need to record video, you need to understand photography, you need to do photo editing and thousand different things. If I would go back in time, I would start social. Surround yourself with better people than you and stick with them. Go to school properly. Limit your fun time. Go out of your comfort zone more. Don't quit. Read. Don't get into fights. Set yourself challenges constantly. Save your money and start a YouTube channel as I'm doing right now. It's never too late. All these tips can be applied to yourself today because in the future, you're gonna have other tips for yourself. And you don't want to repeat the same mistakes. Start now, and probably I'm gonna do another video like this in 5 years from now, giving some tips to my younger self that currently it's my current self. It's a little bit tricky. I'm Khalil Santarelli, I'm 23 years old, I currently live in Germany, and my goal is to become the best life coach in the world at 40 years old. And I'm gonna always approach life coaching and self-development through the world of physical effort, of training yourself. Because I believe that without physical training, it's really difficult to develop a strong person, a strong personality, a strong character, because it builds your character, your discipline. You need discipline in order to do whatever it is. That's everything for today. Another time, let me repeat, be a player and go win in life. And if you got some time, watch this video. It's really, really helpful. Just so you know.